Hey, what's up you guys, the Curious Owl here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about the book Fragile Like Us by Sara Barnard. If you guys have watched my 24-hour readathon for March, you will know that I read and finished this book in one day, and I have to say, this was actually a much darker contemporary than I was expecting. I knew going into it, it was going to be fairly dark, but not as dark as they had actually gotten. So I do want to place several trigger warnings for you guys if you do decide to go into this book. Trigger warnings for child abuse, abuse in general, alcohol, drugs, depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, a little bit, a possible scene that goes almost into a sexual abuse scenario but is stopped before it becomes something really tragic, and also toxic relationships between friends. The main story goes that Caddy and Rosie have been friends since they were little kids and they know everything about each other inside and out. But Caddy goes to a private girls' school in Brighton, England, whereas in the same town, Rosie goes to a public girls' school. And at that public school, Rosie meets a girl named Suzanne who becomes a very close friend of hers very quickly, and when she meets Caddy for the first time, they don't really hit it off too well. But after finding out some very dark information about Suzanne regarding her home life and part of the reason as to why she moved to Brighton in the first place, Suzanne and Caddy become very close friends as Caddy becomes almost a confidant for Suzanne and really gets into a lot of trouble with her. So I don't know how many of you guys know this. I've talked about this a couple of times on the channel, but I have actually dealt with being with a toxic friend before, and thankfully it was to not this extent, but it was still very damaging for me as an individual. I did not have a friend who was like Suzanne in every aspect, but I did go through a lot of what Caddy went through when her family and friends were telling her a lot about how this friend is not good for her and she's only causing more pain and will continue to cause more pain until she cuts her out of her life completely. But Caddy is very much a person that says, no, this person is fine. They are not hurting me. I'm perfectly fine. I'm not at all being abused by this person in any form, whether it's mental or physical or emotional. And I was in that position myself, so I heavily related to that, and I totally understood where Caddy was coming from in terms of this relationship. But in all seriousness, this relationship between Caddy and Suzanne was incredibly toxic, and it got toxic very, very quickly. I want to start off by saying that this book really didn't start off great for me because I thought that Caddy as a main character was a little contrived and a little whiny, because in the very beginning of the story, she turns 16 and has 3 things that she wants to do before she finishes high school and goes out to college, which is get her first boyfriend, as she goes to a private school and has had very limited contact with the other sex. She also wants to lose her virginity at some point before she turns 17, which is a whole other problem in itself, and I will discuss later. And she wants to have what she calls a significant life event, which basically means she wants something to happen to her that is gonna make her interesting because she feels that she is the most plain and boring person on the face of the earth. And that is a whole other can of worms I do not like about Caddy by itself, but I will get to that in a moment. So the first problem I have with Caddy, oh goodness, there's so many things I don't like about Caddy. So the first thing is that she wants to lose her virginity before she's 17 to probably some random guy that she can just have sex with and is not going to have any worries or repercussions from it. That is the most stupid way, I think, to think about sex. Yes, you can go out and have sex with any random person in the world, but that should not be advertised in a novel. Yes, it's a way that this character thinks is going to make her happy, but I just can't even believe that a character would even think that, let alone even want that to happen, because that can lead to so many problems. I feel like a lot of this is a little bit of bias, so please take this with a grain of salt, because I know that this could be my own personality and my own personal thoughts and feelings talking, so here's just what I have to say on. I am not a person that is someone who would go out willingly and just have sex with any random stranger. I am not a party person. I don't go out to parties specifically because I don't want to interact with people who are like that. I don't want to be in that kind of an environment, and I don't want to put myself in a position where I could do that because it is not within my morality. It is not within my moral status. I don't feel comfortable having sex with random people. I want to only have sex with someone who is going to really really know me and is going to basically be someone I want to marry in the future. I am not a person that is willing to just throw myself out to people just so that I can say I had sex with somebody. That is totally what this character is like, and I cannot stand it. It's not that it offends me per se, it's more that I just don't understand the point in going out and just having sex with random people just because you want to lose your virginity for the first time. I just don't understand it. So that's my whole thing on it, and you guys can have totally different opinions on it yourselves based on where you come from. The second thing is the significant life events thing. The reason she wants to have a significant life event is because everyone has something worse in their lives that somehow makes them interesting. Rosie, for instance, her best friend, lost her father when he walked out on her family when she was a toddler. Rosie also lost her younger sibling at a very young age, and her mother has tried to provide for her the best she can. And Caddy thinks that that's a significant life event. That's two significant life events that she's missed out on. I don't even think I need to explain how stupid that sounds because it's absolutely ridiculous. You can have significant life events at any point in your life. You just have to be willing to do things. You have to be willing to go out and have a great day with your friends. A significant life event can be something as simple as just having a great day out with your friends or your family. It doesn't have to be something dramatic like losing a parent or going through divorce or anything like that. But Caddy thinks that that's something that she needs in her life. She needs either one of her parents to die, or she needs them to split up, or she needs her younger brother to pass away. She needs something that she can say is interesting about her, and that is so problematic to no end. Needless to say, I'm not a big fan of Caddy as a main character, but she does have some very redeeming qualities when she gets to become friends with Suzanne. She definitely grows as a main character throughout the story, but that first interaction with her makes her so unbearable to me that I almost wanted to throw the book across the room and explode even more. So then let's talk about Suzanne. Suzanne is a very broken character who definitely relies on others to make her feel better. And unfortunately for her, that's led to a lot of problems. Suzanne is, though, a very broken character, and she knows she's broken. And unfortunately for a lot of people in her position, people that get too close to her end up suffering, and she knows that. But then she still continues to become friends with Caddy, even though she knows that Caddy is probably going to get hurt along the way, because Suzanne has a very explosive temper. She is very much a drunk that constantly has to drink her problems away. She runs away a lot. She doesn't do her homework in school. She usually cuts class a lot of the time. She's not a good character, and she knows it. She knows she's not a good person, but she sticks around with her because Caddy is honestly someone that she can go to and she can rely on, because Caddy opens herself up to become that way. And while I think that that is incredibly problematic, it is incredibly true for any person who has been in a toxic friendship such as this. It's not toxic in the sense that she's abusing Caddy in any sense, but she abuses her in a way that is more so emotional and a little bit more mental. And unfortunately, that's been the exact scenario I've been in. I had a friend who I spent a lot of time with in high school that very much had the same things. She didn't have the exact same scenario as Suzanne, thank goodness, but she did a lot of the same things where she would have very explosive moments and would take them out on me, who was probably her closest friend and someone that she could rely on a lot, which I was, because I was always at her feet at any second she needed me. I would get hurt, and she would apologize for it, and I would come right back to her because she apologized, and the cycle would repeat, and it repeated for 3 years, and it was very hard on me, and it actually made me very tentative to try and make other friendships afterwards. And when I had finally split from her my junior year of high school, sophomore year around that time, I really had a hard time trusting a lot of other people. But I totally understand where Caddy comes from, like I said earlier, where she doesn't feel that Suzanne is truly hurting her, but is only having moments of anger and sadness and hurt that she needs to let it out somehow. But please know that if you're in that position at any point, that you need to remove yourself from that situation, because it is toxic, it is very hostile, and can actually do more harm than good. If your friends and family are telling you that a friend is really being awful to you and you need to step away from them, don't shut them out, because they're only looking out for you and they're only hoping that you will listen to them and be able to take care of yourself. Because if you're in a toxic friendship like this, or the one I've been in, it's very hard to distance yourself from the person and be able to say that, yes, they're hurting me. I'm seeing what's happening. But believe me, I totally understand if it's hard for you to understand that now. It took me 3 years to understand what my friend was doing to me, and afterwards, I felt like such a complete idiot. But know that your friends and family that are telling you this friend is hurting you are only doing it because they care and they want to see you happy, and they don't want you to end up hurt any more than you already have by this friend. So don't count out their thoughts and their opinions on this person, because they actually may end up being right. But you need to be able to make the decision on your own and be able to step back away from the friendship and understand what are the circumstances around it, what are the circumstances surrounding your friend, and picking up on the problems that they are having, and when they start to attack you, why are they attacking you specifically? If it's for no particular reason and you're just there so they just spew all their hatred out on you because you're the next available thing, you need to leave. You need to leave that friendship as soon as possible, because that is going to cause you more harm than good. But you'll need to come to that realization on your own, unfortunately, because a lot of times people in those situations don't understand what's going on until they get to a breaking point. And sometimes that's what it takes. But if you can catch this early on and you can see that this friend of yours is being toxic, get out of there as soon as you can and eliminate them from your life, because they do not deserve you. They do not deserve your time and your love, because they're just going to take it and take advantage of it every single time. So I'm stepping off my soapbox for that, but I kind of wanted to use that though as a way to say that I did enjoy this book a lot for what it stood for and a lot of the topics that it involved. But I really disliked the main character a lot in the very beginning, which made it a little bit unbearable to read until I got to a point where Caddy finds out a lot of information about Suzanne. So overall, this novel was about a 4 out of 5 stars for me, maybe somewhere around a 3.5. I'm not quite sure. I think I'm leaning more towards 4 though, because I did really enjoy a lot of the content that was involved in it. The humor was really well done. I think Sara Barnard definitely is a very good contemporary writer, but I just hated Caddy in the beginning so much that it made it almost a DNF for me. I almost DNF'd this book after about 50 pages, if you can believe it. But I do think that it does speak a lot on some really interesting topics that don't get talked about very often, like toxic relationships involving friendships as opposed to actual intimate relationships. And so I think that it definitely is something that you should pick up if you are willing to, or if you kind of want to understand, what exactly a toxic friendship can look like in one sense. Every toxic relationship and friendship is different for different reasons, but this is just one way that they can manifest, and it's not all sunshines and rainbows. This book gets very dark very quickly, so keep that in mind as you read. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me in this video for Fragile Like Us by Sara Barnard. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys.